Hi, and welcome to Tremco Live, where we're socially distant but technically connected. I am Marcy Tyler, the Director of Building Science for Tremco, and I am joined by my co-host.
And I'm Paul Hugenboom. I'm the president of Tremco Construction Products Group. Marcy, a tremendous collection of companies, brands, products, systems, and of course, most of all people, our people, and the whole world that we serve.
Yeah. Lots of people we get to be able to sit up here in front of each and every Friday. We certainly appreciate everyone's time. One of these days, I'd love to hear from you. How do you watch Tremco Live? Is it on Friday live with us, or is it a way that you wind down your weekend? So if you want to shoot me that, that would be great to just find out, how do you watch your Tremco Live? And as always, if you have a topic that you'd like to share with us, we definitely want to hear it. Paul, so this is our last Friday of October. Been an exciting month.
Yeah, resiliency. It's funny, like every topic we do becomes my favorite topic.
I know.
But resiliency, it's maybe the most favorite of all, right? It covers such a wide span of performance requirements.
Yep.
But everybody can agree that resiliency is so important, becoming more important every day.
It is. And I think that's what's interesting. And I think if you Google it, you're going to see a lot of different types of articles if you're in our space, of course. In the construction space, you're going to see a lot of great information that exists out there. We're working on a presentation on November 11th with Julie, that was our guest last Friday, going into that, into fortified homes, into building resilient structures. And, the key factor there is those homes that we can then live in, right? They have gone through, the test of time and through a storm, and then you're able to go back and live in that space.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to you a little earlier today that now that I've become acquainted with fortified, I'm now noticing it in a lot of different places saying, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing, exactly. And I think what's also so interesting is noticing it, and then I'm just really spending a lot of time educating myself on it, and I'm learning so much in terms of resources that exist out there, as well as just some really interesting information. So we're going to pull some of that information here in a few minutes, and then also bring some guests on. But before we do that, I just want to make sure everyone's aware of in November we're not going to let go of resiliency, of course, because that's something we're always going to be thinking about. But we're going to go into a whole series, a 3-part series on panelization. So what's interesting with that, right, is panelization is helping so many different ways. It's overcoming maybe weather restrictions you might have in construction. It's helping with skilled labor shortages, as well as helping with having that durable piece being pre-made and then showing up on your job site. So of course, we'll always have the element of resiliency and durability when it comes to panelization.
I think the other thing that'll be, I'm really going to look forward to on the panelization is the aesthetics of it.
Yeah.
Boy, there's pretty much nothing you can't do. And I think panels allow you to do things you can't do any other way.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And I think that's an exciting space for us now at Tremco. Being able to have that drive it aspect added to what we can do is something we've never really had, right? We've had the aesthetics of a sealant joint. We've had the aesthetics, of course, of our restoration overlay, really cleaning up mullions, getting it back to being air and water tight. But now we have the whole facade. So it's definitely exciting for us. So as always, we've got some information we want to be able to share with all of you as it relates to the topic today. And that is, of course, resiliency. So we went to, once again, some of those resources that exist out there. And this one in particular is called, What is Resilient Construction and Why Do We Need It? This is from the Portland Cement Manufacturers Association. There is a great document out there, and it's called The Real Value of Resilient Construction, and they just wrote it back in May of 2019. So I love this map that they have there, the $217 billion weather and climate disasters map. So not a happy map, but it's certainly a realistic map as it relates to what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and I think what's exciting, Marcy, is what we're talking about are things that can mitigate almost the entirety of that cost.
Yeah.
And not just the cost, but all the lives that are disrupted. So just a tremendous amount of disruption, and often that's what we learned last week on the fortified is it often affects those who are sort of least amongst us. So it disproportionately hits those who are least able to deal with it.
Yeah, and that whole aspect of the community, devastating the community, and of course those less able to deal with it is something that we want to actively pursue and actively work on as we continue to move forward with resilient construction and what we can do as an organization. This next slide here, once again, goes into some more information. Same article from the Portland Cement Association, the real value of resilient construction. And I think this is important. As we look to building, here's their data. So this is from NIBS. So if there's a positive development that has come out of the high cost of disasters, it's the recognition that cost can be reduced by investing in mitigation against these impacts of hazards. The National Institute of Building Sciences estimates that for every dollar spent on a resilient building and construction, there's $6 in recovery costs.
And I think, and again, that was just a key message on the fortified that we covered last week, Marcy, is that there's a perception that it costs more.
Yeah.
Truth is, no.
Yeah.
Costs less.
Yeah.
But that's a big part of the education, right? It's ongoing.
Well, and I wonder if there's been, if you look at the picture that they provided there in figure 2, the 3 little pigs. So I wonder if there's, a spoof or a spiff on that showing the 3 little pigs, and what does that mean in terms of, wind loading, wind-driven rain, all the different resiliency tests that we need to do from a durability perspective. Maybe that's something we'll put together at some point, but just really that whole idea that, you can spend that dollar on something that's resilient and then end up saving you from a recovery perspective.
Yeah.
And that's just part of that. So this article continues to go on. So this is just part of it. You may say, well, where I'm living, I'm not worried about any of this kind of stuff. But then you go into the energy savings, right? You go into the indoor air quality. You go into the durability of your structure from the elements, from all these different factors that go into play beyond what we're featuring here.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's happening, and this came up last week, Marcy, is that these 100-year events are now happening every year.
Yeah.
So I think the notion that it doesn't affect you is becoming an increasingly smaller geography. So I just think the prevalence of a severe event is becoming almost the entire, where dense population is. So I think the need for this is just continues to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and as always, when we talk about any type of resilient, durable, energy efficient structures, we think immediately of insulated concrete forms. And when we think of insulated concrete forms, we think of a great resource that we are so happy to have, and that is in Martin Clark. So Martin Clark joins us again today. So Martin, welcome to Tremco Live.
Thank you, Marcy.
Martin, we're looking forward to a couple more stories from you every time we meet.
Okay. Well,
you've got a few.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm just going to give you a personal story.
Love it. I love it.
A few years ago, I had some friends that was actually in a tornado. And they were living in Indiana. They were living in a modular home. And they didn't feel like that their home was safe when this tornado was happening. So what they did, they actually run across the street and got in their neighbors, and it was a modular home. But it was a newer home. So they felt like that they would be at least, partially safe there in that home. Well, that tornado hit that home, and they lost, basically the whole family was lost, the mom, the husband, and the 2 kids. And so this is personal to me here. This story is that, if I can do anything to help build a resilient type buildings to save one life, that's as important to me as anything else.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I know you're doing a lot of work as it relates to, such like safe rooms and things like that, and also working on affordable homes and special needs homes. So you definitely are taking that to heart, and we really appreciate you sharing that story with us.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Marcy, we just had a tornado warning here local to where we work last week.
Yeah, that's right.
So again, that didn't used to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are the things that are just becoming just more and more prevalent.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I know along those lines, you have a specific story that you're going to share with us today as it relates to working with individuals. And this next slide here shows that. This is work that you're doing in your community. Martin, why don't you tell us a little bit more about this Crossroads Mission?
Yes, Crossroads Missions is a person that is actually an organization that literally builds homes one a week, literally across the country. And we're actually doing a special needs development for them right now. And when they had come to me about this, they said, you know what, there's a better way that we need to be building these homes. You know, these families, they've already gone through enough. So let's build them the very best home that we can build these homes. So, you know, these homes are a safe home. We are building them to the fortified standard. They are energy efficiency. And then, so, you know, we're giving them the very best home for these families here. And every one of these families has special needs childs. And, you know, they've already gone through enough. And so they wanted to give them a better place to live. So we're doing the whole complete community this way. We just started it. It's all with volunteers, and it's just a really, really neat story. So we just started our first one, and we built the basement, and we're going all the way up with these homes. And then within that community, they have a person there that will be working with these kids basically throughout the rest of their lives. They will never be able to leave home with it. So, you know, it's neat to be a part of that. But what's really neat to be a part of their organization. And, you know, Paul and Marcy, when you was talking about panelization, they have a panelization program down that they literally will come in and build a 1,300 square foot home. They literally build it in either a church parking lot or a fire station, whatever. And they build those homes in a matter of 4 hours, put them on trucks, and then send them literally all over the country. So I am working with them right now to where that we can do the same thing with this. Let's panelize the ICF. Let's, you know, panelize all the interior walls, put them on a truck, and deliver them to the different sites. And they have done a little over 1,300 homes like this. And what is really cool, they literally completed 36 homes in a church parking lot in a matter of 6 hours. They had 6,000 volunteers for this. And it was all for homes in Hurricane Katrina back then. So we're working with them right now to combine, you know, ICFs and panelize it with the interior walls and do it mainly with volunteer help.
We'll definitely check back in with you on updates on that for sure, because that's pretty exciting. I asked Martin, I'm like, do they need volunteers? And he's like, they always will take volunteers, but it's amazing that they have such an outpouring of volunteers already that are willing and able to do this, and the fact that they can do it with volunteers.
Well, and as Martin was describing it, it speaks to ease and speed of construction are at a premium when you're working at that level of throughput, Martin.
Right.
Yeah, it's a really neat organization to be involved with, and we're looking forward to see where we can take it next.
That's great. And I know part of your ability to be able to be out there and share that message of having these durable construction and resilient homes and businesses and schools is your ability to be able to get out there. And this is one of those things we wanted to make sure people were aware of in the Kentucky area about your roundtable and site tour event. Tell us what you're doing here.
You know, we're actually holding an event to feature 2 of the University of Louisville residence halls. We had actually just completed one last year, and we have another one under construction right now. And with this ICF roundtable, we partner with the National Ready Mix Association, ICFMA, University of Louisville, and we put together a really neat event and we literally have people coming from all over the world. I mean, all over the United States to see this. And we have architects coming, we have general contractors coming, we have developers coming, and basically to learn on how to build this away. And with the cost of steel, ICFs is probably one of the best ways right now for them to be able to build. So it's a really neat event. We're having we rented the Churchill Downs Museum, Derby Museum. We're having dinner there, and then just basically just getting to know each other, and then next day we'll tour these projects.
That's awesome. On this next slide that I pulled up here, it's showing all of the different organizations that are involved. I know this is something that you've done with the National Ready Mix Association and some of the other mentions here, but it's great because that's what we're going to be looking at is the discussion centered around awareness and education about this type of building. And I love the fact that you're bringing all these outside people in, and first they'll be able to have firsthand experience with people that were involved. They'll see a completed project and a project that's in process. So what an amazing way to be able to learn about this.
Yeah, I wish we could be there.
Yeah, I wish we could
have you there.
Well, we'll see what we can do if we can get down there. I know we're building an extension on our plant, and every day that I drive past it, I have to like stop and stare because we've got ICF, we've got our Secure X, we're at 430, all of our accessory materials building up our plant. So since you were last here, there's been a lot more work going on over there, Martin.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
Yeah, I drove there the other day. I hadn't been there in a long time, and I was like, I didn't even know where the entrance was to our plant was. What's this big building going up? I'm like, oh, that's my building.
That's right. It throws you off from what you're used to seeing. That's for sure. You know, and as you know, you and I have had many discussions, Martin, about resiliency, durability, and the many benefits of Nudura. You and I had a conversation, I think the last time you were on, was about this specific house here on Mexico Beach that's featured here. And I did take a quote from the owner of this house that is on the website and really easy to find. But at every point from pilings to the roof and everything in between, when it came time to make a decision about what level of material or what to use, we didn't pay attention to code, says Dr. Lackey when he was talking to CNN. On Newsday, we went above and beyond code. And that's something we love to be able to say here, going above and beyond code. And we asked that question, what would survive the big one? And then they consistently tried to build for just that. So talk to me about this project here and this house.
You know, yeah, I guess probably one of the most interesting things about this house, and the you know, it was built out of the ICF, but if you're not building a house out of ICF, you want at least want to build a house right behind it to protect your home. But you know, it was so interesting to see that how the roof held up, you know, the siding was hardy plank, and how it took the wind-driven rain and the forces of the wind and the water there with it. I mean, there's very little damage to the home with it.
Well, and I know in our discussions about this and obviously the devastation that occurred in this entire community here, You mentioned somebody that you know that lost their home and is rebuilding in that space. And so we are fortunate to have him on today. So we would love to introduce Rick and invite him on to the show. So Rick, welcome to Tremco Live.
Hi, how are y'all?
Hi there. So Martin, you disappeared on us. Get back
okay.
on there.
All right, okay. All right, I'm good. Right.
You don't get to go away. I'm just teasing us. So Rick, thanks for joining us. You know, this entire month, as I mentioned, we're talking about resiliency. We're talking about, you know, we always talk about restoration and rebuild, and you have a great story to tell here, your home that you are rebuilding. So tell us a little bit about your story and, you know, why you decided to build with Nudura. And then we'll share some pictures.
Well, it basically goes back to that house that you just showed on the clip there. That house is about 1.5 streets over from me, from where I'm building my townhome back. I'm building it with another lady. We were in a row of 6 homes, townhomes that are all attached together. I was the 18th unit from the beach, and every unit from my home to the beach was pretty much in shambles. Well, most of them were knocked down. I was about the first one that was still standing, but it was leaning north. That's what I can say. The hurricane, the winds, or the tide the surge that came in, just it cleared out 18 homes from the beach to my house, basically. It did have to be knocked down. It was condemned by the city. And basically, you saw around that home that you just showed on the clip. I think they call it the Sand Palace down there. Little story about that. If you can bring that slide back up by chance, I went down there 10 days after Hurricane Michael. And if you look at that furniture sitting on the deck, 10 days later, that furniture was sitting out there. That house looked like it hadn't even been touched. Kind of made a believer out of me. And I have an electrical contracting business here in Louisville, and or right outside of Louisville. But I had been privy to work on some ICF homes in the past. I've worked on a couple of them. They're not real, you know, until now. I see them everywhere. It's like Paul said. It's
Yeah.
I see them everywhere. And
Yeah.
Since I've started my project, I see them everywhere being built, especially in Florida. Around Louisville, you know, I've seen some projects go up at the airport. I've seen them, you know, while I'm driving down the road, I see some ICF. And actually 2 miles from my home, right at 2 miles, there's a school being built out of Nudura ICF blocks. Basically, it just made a believer out of me, and I wanted to build a home back that wasn't going to be knocked down by the surge. If anything, I didn't want to go up on pilings. If anything, I would have to just replace the drywall on the inside, dry it out, and start over. I'd have a 2-month remodel, maybe. So it's been a 3-year process trying to get rebuilt, and it was just what I did was I reached out to actually a friend of mine turned me on to Martin, and I was off the cuff. I said, "You don't know any ICF guys, do you?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I know. Okay, let me look at my phone. Yeah, here's his name, Martin Clark. Give him a call." And so Martin and I have actually formed a friendship. This has been, how long has it been, Martin? About probably going on a year and a half now.
Going on a year, yes.
Take year and a half. Yeah, probably a year. But Martin's turned me on to other people in the industry. Michael Wyman, which was the National Ready Mix Association. Then they turned me on to, and Martin also. It's a close knit community. But turn me on to Danny Richardson he's out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. He's the builder of the walls with Millennium Walls, like it's the name of his company. But and then from there, it led to Aaron Mayhew, where I could get the blocks from, the distributor. So, and he was out of Pensacola. So, anyway, it's been a joy trying to rebuild, and the main reason I wanted to do it is because that picture right there, all of the homes around it, as you can see, and that's about what it looked like when I went down there 10 days after the hurricane. It's as soon as we could get in, and that house was standing there with patio furniture out on, or porch furniture out on the porch, front porch. Looks like it hadn't been touched. So.
Yeah, it's so interesting, and I've seen this picture, right, so many times, but to get your perspective of it and the lawn chairs on it, you know, showing that there's devastation all around, and this family was able to go back in and start living.
Yeah, and again, that's what we learned so much on the fortified session that we had, was that, you know, we think of loss of structure, and then we lose sight of the fact that where are those people going to live?
Right.
And so the fact that, you know, Rick just said no more powerful example of everything's back to normal and the furniture's out on the porch.
Right, exactly. Well, and this is a photo. This is a photo you guys shared of your view from your home. That one, the one you're on. Oh. From your home, looking, so this is from your street looking over at the, that's how close he is to the Mexico Beach house, and the house, as Martin so nice said, it was, you know, hiding kind of behind that house. But so this is the view that you have from your home, and then this is how you are rebuilding with Nudura here in this picture. Yeah.
As you can see, at the time these pictures were taken, we're still waiting on windows. But they got started on the siding. We're putting up it's not a Hardy, but it's a Nishi siding, and it's almost complete now at this stage. I just haven't been down there to take a picture. I was pretty much waiting to go down there when I can do something else. But basically, you know, we've been constructing this home. That's a duplex. My side is the left side right there, the north side, and I'm building it with a lady out of Marietta, Georgia, and Cheryl, and we're kind of doing it together, although I'm doing the contracting. So basically, she's keeping an eye on things when I can't be there. So it's been a fun project. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about building ICF. I've been promoting it here just for its resiliency and just for the, you know, the durability and the savings and efficiency and the energy savings that you get from it alone should, you know, basically pay back in a short amount of time. So there's just several things I like about it. Durability, that house will be there way after I'm gone. So, and probably through several lifetimes. So
that's what Julie mentioned too, about the legacy of homes and the legacy and resiliency of communities, right? So the more people hear this message and build this way, that's what we'll be able to.
Well, and again, I know I keep talking about last week, but I never thought about it. She says a lot of these communities never come back. Yeah. And so it is about the ability of a community to stay. Yeah. And she showed us a couple of pictures of where even if a Nudura home is left standing, but there are no other homes, yeah. You know, her point was, well, then there's not a community.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, Rick, can we count on you to give us an update here in a couple months or so, and let us know how it's going? I love the story of, you know, something that was probably so terrible to go through, and all the loss that you suffered. And then from that, you gained friends, right? You got a friend in Martin, and a friend with all the people you're working with on your home, which is nice.
I've gained several friends. You know, even in the Louisville area, that, you know, I don't know, I'm a believer in it. So it's you know, with the energy savings, the sound levels, everything involved, and you know, the way we constructed it, the insurance rate should be lower. Trying to fortify this house. I don't know if it's going to basically, I don't know. We think it's going to be fortified. But it's, yeah, I'll give you updates.
Yeah, we'd love to be able to hear from you. That's for sure. And I like just that whole story of the community involved with help and build. It doesn't sound as painful as some of the stories I've heard of people building. Of course, you're probably waiting on your windows and things like that, but I love the friendships that have come from this.
Yeah, well, and as he mentioned, I know if I'm going to build something, Martin's on my team.
You heard that, Martin.
Yeah. You know, Paul, one of the things that's been pretty interesting working with Julie here, you know, and this is more or less in the Kentucky area and surrounding areas, not actually in the hurricane areas, but, you know, by building out of ICF, that gets you automatically 80% of building fortified. So there's just very little extra as to do. You know, it's just how you attach your roof and your shingles and different things like that. I mean, so basically, you know, you simplify that project to get to a fortified home.
That's great. That's great information for us to share. I know we're looking forward to working with Julie, obviously working more with Martin. We'll be checking in with Rick for sure. But great broadcast, lots of great information. Really appreciate you guys joining us today. So we really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, and we'll be checking back in with Rick. And for those of you interested in joining Martin in Kentucky, we do have one last slide here that'll show you exactly what you need to do if you want to be able to register. Almost got it, Paul, almost got it. So here up on screen right now for everybody is the way that you can register. Obviously, there's my email. If you want to communicate with me on anything that you heard about today, but then of course, if you want to join Martin and his crew in Kentucky, there is your RSVP email there for your ability to be able to join Martin in just a couple weeks. So thanks everybody once again for joining us today. We really do appreciate everyone's time, and we hope you guys have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
That's good.
Bye.